Well, good morning, everybody. This is Ralph with, what are we doing today? Daily motivation from the tarot. And today our topic is a lesson from the Hermit card. And what I'm trying to do in these little episodes is take every tarot card in the deck and try to find at least one lesson that we can learn from these cards. Because the way that I do tarot, it's not fortune telling. It's not necessarily divination as most people consider divination. I have a different definition of divination, and that's basically what I do. But the way that I do tarot is that I try to use it as a way in which we can learn life lessons. Each tarot card represents a different archetype, a thought form, if you will, a universal lesson that can be found in every culture, every religion and spiritual path, and probably, if there's life on other planets, as I believe there is, thought patterns that apply to them too, in accordance with the old Hermetic philosophy, the old Hermetic axiom, as above, so below, as below, so above. It is all one huge interconnected web of life. And the lesson that I see here in the Hermit card can be summed up in a few words. Meditate, contemplate, but don't over-isolate. And one problem that we can get into, trying to follow the advice of the Hermit card, is that people can tend to over-isolate. If people get hurt, what do? Some people will go run to somebody for comfort, for support. Other people may tend to just go right inside their own little shell and hide out there for a few days, for a few weeks, sometimes for a few years. And that's not healthy. A little bit of isolation, a little bit of solitude can be miracle grow for the soul. But too much solitude, when we just isolate, that is not a healthy practice. And one book that I'm reading right now, Bare Bones Tarot by Vincent Pettisi, he gives his view of the tarot cards operating from the Tarot of Marseille deck. And when it comes to the Hermit, he boils down the Hermit to a few key phrases. Guiding light, focus on self, search for truth, life's journey, experienced wisdom, and the sage. And in his longer definition of the tarot card, he states that answers are found in solitude. Solitude will open doors of insight, which is true. But I would say that after we find our answers in solitude, we need to get back out into the world and carry those answers out into the wider world. And this is where we can get into trouble with the Hermit card in tarot. People can get so comfortable being in solitude, being in isolation, that they forget there's a wider world out there. And one lesson that we can learn from meditation, which is one of the meanings I see in the Hermit card, is that when we go deep inside, we have two selves, at least two selves, that we can connect with. We can connect with our egoic self, our individuated self, or we can connect with our higher self, the universal self. I believe in my own spiritual worldview that we are all different sparks of the same divine flame. We are all different manifestations of the same divine source. Divinity manifested in individuals like you, like me, like everybody else on this planet and possibly populated throughout this universe. We are all different manifestations of the same divinity. And when we go deep inside in meditation, we have the chance to connect with that divine spark in each and every one of us. And if we believe that divine source is truly the source of all within the universe and the multiverse, and we connect with that, we're not isolating, so to speak. In solitude, we connect with that divine source, and then that opens up the window on a whole universe and multiverse of knowledge, wisdom, and possibilities. And we discover the meaning of the song by George Harrison, The Inner Light. Without going out of my door, I can know all things on earth. Without looking out of my window, I can know the ways of heaven. A beautiful lyric. And we can actually get to know the meaning of those words by going deep in meditation and connecting with that divine source. Because when we connect with the divine source, we're not isolating. We are finding divinity within solitude, but we're finding a window that connects us to everything and everyone in the multiverse. And it connects us with a source of wisdom which will never be exhausted. Now, when we connect with our egoic self, our lower self, that does isolate us. And that can harm us. And if we put ourselves in a situation where we are specializing in one thing or another. I had a philosophy teacher that taught us the people who specialize, they know more and more about less and less. They are just so hyper-focused. They are experts when it comes to one small fraction of the overall picture, but they never see the big picture. And what we need to do is be able to take the advice of specialists who know a lot about one small tiny fragment of the overall picture, but never lose sight of the big picture itself. We have to incorporate both views into our lives. So yes, that's where I get the lesson for today that we can learn from the hermit. Spend some time in meditation. Meditate, contemplate, seek your answers in solitude, but then don't over-isolate. And when you're in solitude, try to connect not with just your lower self, your egoic self, but connect to the higher self. And that higher self that you connect with in daily meditation will be your window to a far, far greater world, your doorway into the rest of the universe. Because at our root level, our spiritual root level, if we truly are different fragments of the same divine flame, different sparks of the same divine source, then at the root level, we are one. We are connected. We don't see that in our material world because we're going through this material world as individuals. Individuals that go through the illusion of separation, experience what the Hindus would call Maya. And in that state of illusion, we think that we're alone. We think that we're in danger. We think that we're isolated. But at our root level, when we connect to that root source, we can see that we're really one. And we have a lot more in common with our fellows in this material world than we would think. And when we discover that unity, when we discover that connection, we can find a source of wisdom that is truly inexhaustible. So that's all I'm going to say about the Hermit card per se right now. What I'm going to do for the rest of this space is I've got 3 cards, one of which is the Hermit card. The other 2, I got no idea. And I'm kind of mixing them all up together. And I'm going to lay them out in a 3-card spread. And we are going to see how we can do a reading with the Hermit card. Now, the question that I'm going to ask in this reading is, what is the general energy for Valentine's Day? Talk about isolating. Guys, if you got a girlfriend, if you got a wife, if you've got a significant other, or even the ladies out there, if you got someone that you're really romantically involved in, try not to forget Valentine's Day. Because maybe it may not be a big thing to you, but it may be a big thing to your significant other. And if it's not a big thing for your significant other too, well then, fine, you're perfectly matched. But yeah, this is a bad day to be isolating on. And I feel bad for some people that are kind of lonely and isolated on days like Valentine's Day and Christmas and the other big holidays and holy days. But yeah, if you got somebody, let them know you care. So that's the Valentine's Day pitch for right now. But right now, let's get into the reading. So what is the energy of Valentine's Day? Got the 3 cards laid out. Let's start turning them over. First card, the Knight of Pentacles. Taking action in the material world. Taking action in the realm of business, finance, money, materiality of all kinds. And yes, it shows a past of taking action in the financial sector. Second card is the Hermit. Now here we could be getting a meaning that maybe we ourselves or our significant other, maybe we've been spending some time isolating. Learning all about finance, learning all about business, but maybe neglecting other parts of life. And so, yeah, like I was saying before, a person that isolates and learns all about business and finance and entrepreneurship, and I'm all over that. I support that. I believe in that. But you also have to open yourself up to other activities in life, like having fun. Falling in love, getting creative, getting out and walking in nature. Put the Wall Street Journal aside and just get outside in nature. And yeah, if we've been isolating ourselves too much, focusing on growing a business, because yeah, I get it. There are entrepreneurs out there that will spend 80 hours a week plus growing their business. But the old saying goes, all work and no play makes you-know-who a dull person. And so, yeah, that could be a danger that the Hermit is shining a light on. Focusing too much on one small area of life and forgetting all about the other parts of life. And now the third card is the Hierophant, which tells me, okay, if you are a person that has been over-focused on one small area of life, namely the material world, which the Knight of Pentacles can represent, the Hierophant represents a bridge, a doorway, if you would. A bridge between heaven and earth, a spiritual bridge that we can cross once we become aware of it. And this spiritual bridge can connect us with other people, other places, other things. And it's interesting that the song I picked out for today, The Inner Light by George Harrison, without going out of my door, I can know all things on earth. Without looking out of my window, I can know the ways of heaven. The Hierophant really represents that lyric. The Hierophant is that bridge between us and the wider cosmos. And that's one thing that the Hierophant can represent, that bridge to divinity. So putting these three cards together, the Knight of Pentacles, the Hermit, and the Hierophant, is, okay, you've been focused on the material world for the past several years, and you've made some progress in the material world. Or maybe you haven't. Maybe you have gotten to a point where you've experienced a lot of the pleasures of the material world, and you're still not satisfied. And maybe you're thinking, if I just get more of that sense pleasure, more of those goodies in life, I will find satisfaction. But ultimately, what a lot of people tend to experience as we get older in life is that all the pleasure in the world is not enough. And we see what we hear from addicts. Too much is never enough. And we're craving more and more and more, and it never satisfies. There is something else that can satisfy. Something that can nurture us, teach us, satisfy us at a spiritual level, and that is that spark of divinity, which is within each and every one of us, within everything that we experience in the material world, because that divine source is the real building block of the material world and the building blocks of the spiritual world. So when we learn to seek not just material pleasure, but also spiritual things like true love. Valentine's Day, we're going to be talking about, hearing people talk about, love and things like that, romantic love, erotic love. And yeah, that's all part of the picture, sure. But it's not everything. There's a deeper love that when we find that, it will really feed and nurture our soul and bring us through a lot of the hard times in life that we all experience. So, the overall meaning here. You've done a lot in the material world. Now it's time to seek a wider world, more of a spiritual source. Connect with that spiritual source and break out of your isolation. Because that spiritual source is your pathway to a far, far wider and greater world. And so that's all I got. So anyway, I hope you got some value out of this reading. I was just thinking there's a saying and a quote in the original Star Wars movie where Obi-Wan Kenobi is talking to Luke Skywalker. And Luke Skywalker is commenting about how much he's learned about the Force through his own experience. And his Jedi Master says, "Congratulations, you've just taken your first steps into a far greater world." A lot of truth in that original movie, a lot of wisdom there. But yeah, that's another way that we can see the Hierophant. And also the Hermit, Obi-Wan Kenobi, mentoring and teaching Luke Skywalker. We learn our wisdom, we learn our lessons in solitude, but then we have to carry it forward to at least one designated person, one qualified student that can take the wisdom that we have gained and carry it forward into the future. We learn in isolation, we can learn in solitude, but we're not intended to stay there. Not as long as we're still active on this planet. So that's it. Okay, tomorrow I won't be doing a space on tarot. I'm going to take a couple days off, Saturday and Sunday. We'll be back Monday, and we'll be talking about the Wheel of Fortune, Monday at 7 a.m. So until then, have a great day. This is Ralph signing out. We've got our Grow Rich Mastermind coming up in about 40 minutes. And this is a Law of Attraction Mastermind that I have been missing since I've been doing these tarot broadcasts. But I've decided to go ahead and start doing the tarot about an hour earlier so that I can tune into the Grow Rich Mastermind at 8 o'clock. My time, which is 9 o'clock Eastern time. But it is a mastermind that we do by telephone and it's been going on for 14 years. And it's a law of attraction mastermind that focuses on the works of Napoleon Hill, also Wallace D. Wattles, and other great entrepreneurs and leaders in the New Thought movement. And it's free. You can join absolutely free. It's been going on for 14 years and going strong. And if you would like to be able to join our mastermind group, free of charge, get complete access to our virtual library of PDF texts, which includes Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, The Law of Success by Napoleon Hill, The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles, some works by Emerson and a few other people. Let me know. Reach out to me here on X or wherever you're hearing this broadcast, and I'd be more than happy to share with you my free link, which will give you all the information you need to join our Law of Attraction Mastermind free and get access to our complete virtual library. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, let me know. Be more than happy to shoot you my link. So that's all for now. This is Ralph signing out. Thank you for dropping by. We'll catch you Monday. Until then, have a great Valentine's Day and a great weekend. Have a good one, people. Bye-bye.